and we have discussed about many topics under the chapter 3, that is demand analysis. We have discussed about the introduction, about the individual demand, market demand, why does demand curve slope downwards, the determinants of demand. Today we will discuss about the law of demand, who has introduced the law of demand, what that economist has told about the law of demand. Before that, we will have a small recap on the previous lecture that we have discussed is determinants of demand. Let me tell you kids, determinants of demand will help you out in many other topics. So it's very important to know the determinants of demand, because the determinants of demand will help you in assumption also and in changes in variation also, as well as in the next chapter, that is elasticity of demand also. So determinants of demand is very important topic. Let's have a small recap on the determinants of demand. The very first determinant that we have discussed was price. What does determinant means? I have already explained in the previous lecture that determinants are the factor that is affecting demand. What is demand? Demand is nothing but it is a quantity for commodity demanded by a person or by the consumer at different price during a given period of time. That we have already discussed. Once again, demand is quantity of a commodity demanded by the consumer at different price during a given period of time. And as well as I have also said that demand is nothing but desire plus willingness and ability to pay. So we can say demand is nothing but D plus A plus W, that is desire plus willingness to pay and plus ability to pay. Now let us see the previous topic that I was talking about, that is determinants of demand, that is nothing but factors affecting demand. That is nothing but factors affecting demand. Now the very first determinant is price. As I have told you, if price changes, automatically demand will also change. For example, whenever we go to the market for buying vegetables, as price of potato changes from 50 to 30, our quantity demand also changes. When it was 50, we used to buy only 1 kg. When it becomes 30, we are buying 2 kgs. So price is the very first determinant of demand. As price changes, quantity demand will also change, because it is directly affecting it is inversely affecting to demand, because when price is high, quantity demand is less. When price is less, quantity demand is high. The second one is income. Income also affects the demand, because there are different income groups in the society. They will demand according to their income what they are earning. The person who is earning more will demand more quantity. The person who is earning less will demand less quantity. So it has a direct relationship. The first one I have told you was price. The second one is income. The third one is price of substitute and price of substitute goods. The price of substitute goods also affects the demand. What is substitute? Let me tell you kids this. Substitute means instead of one, the other can be utilized, the other can be used. For example, instead of Coke, we can use Pepsi. Instead of other commodity, instead of tea, we can use coffee. So, instead of Maaza, we can use slice. So these are the substitute. So if the price of substitute increases, automatically quantity of its substitute quantity demand of its substitute will increase. For example, if price of Coke increase, people will shift to the Pepsi. So quantity demand of Pepsi would increase. Then same way, prices of complementary goods. Prices of complementary goods. What is complement? For utilizing one commodity, other commodities help is also required. For example, for using car, petrol is required. It's a complementary. For using pen, ink is required. It is a complementary. So instead, for using one, other is also getting affected. For example, if the prices of petrol increases, demand for car will decrease. If prices of pen increases or ink increases, demand for pen would decrease. So it's a complementary good. The first one was price, income, price of substitute good, prices of complementary goods. I'll give you again 10 to 15 seconds. Understand, read, then we will go towards the further determinants of demand. Price. Price determines that demand for a commodity to the large extent. Consumer prefer to purchase a product in large quantity when the price of product is less, and they purchase the product in a small quantity when the price of product is high. Income. Income of consumer decides the purchasing power, which in turn influence the demand for the product. Rise in income will lead to rise in demand for the commodity, and fall in income will lead to fall in demand for the commodity. Prices of substitute goods. If the commodity or if a substitute good is available at the lower price, then the people will demand the cheaper substitute good than costly goods. For example, if the prices of sugar rises, then the demand for jaggery will rise. Prices of complementary goods. Change in the price of one commodity would also affect the demand for the other commodity. For example, car and fuel. If the price of fuel rises, then the demand for car will fall. So these are the four determinants of demand that we have discussed. The first one was price, second is income, third is price of substitute good, fourth is price of complementary goods. Let's see the fifth one, that would be nature of product. Now let's talk about the nature of product. The goods which are necessity. In those kind of goods, if prices rises also, it will be demanded, because it is necessity goods which is unavoidable. Same way, if we compare with the necessity good to the luxurious good, for example, medicines which are unavoidable in this current pandemic situation. So, the people will demand medicine if the prices are high also, automatically. But the same way if we compare with the luxurious good which can be postponed, so people will wait for that, because now necessity good is more important than the luxurious good. So the fifth one is nature of product. Sixth one is size of population. The country which is having a high population or large population will demand more when we compare to the country which is having less population. If we compare Sri Lanka and India, so automatically demand by India country would be more than the country like Sri Lanka. Same way, if we compare with India and Australia, so India is the second largest populated country, so India will demand more quantity for the commodity than the Australia. So these are the sizes of population. It's a direct relationship. If population is large, quantity demand would be more. If population is less, quantity demand would be less. Then expectation about future price. Expectation about future price. Suppose I am trying to invest in the gold. I want to invest in the gold, and if I know that today the price is 49,000 for 10 grams, and in after 1 month the prices would be 45,000 for 10 grams. Means 4,000 is going to reduce. So what I will do? I will hold it now. I will hold the investment now, and I will do investment in the future. One more example is, the best example is petrol for everyone, for the common man and for everyone. If we come to know in the news by this evening 7 o'clock that after 12 p.m. the prices of petrol is going to rise by 20 rupees. Everyone will rush with their vehicle, with their bottles for filling the petrol or putting the for doing the full petrol tank, because after 12 p.m. the prices is going to rise. Prices are going to change in future, but it is affecting the demand in present. So future expectation about the prices. The eighth one would be advertisement. The person like me or person like I would prefer to buy those commodities whose advertisement is best, because it is influencing me, it is attracting me towards its product. So if the advertisement is good and it is attracting the consumer or influencing the consumer to buy for the product, so its demand would be automatically more. So we have discussed price, income, price of substitute good, price of complementary goods, nature of product, size of population, expectation about future prices, advertisement. I would again give you 10 to 15 seconds to read nature of product, size of population, future expectation about prices and advertisement. If the commodity is necessity, it is used, is unavoidable, then its demand will continue to be the same irrespective of corresponding price. For example, medicine to control blood pressure, sizes of population. Larger size of population, greater will be the demand for the commodity. Smaller the size of population, smaller would be demand for the commodity. Expectation about the future prices. If the consumer expects the prices to fall in future, he will buy less in present at prevailing price. Similarly, if he expects that the prices is to rise in future, he will buy more in present at the prevailing price. Advertisement. Advertisement, sale promotion schemes, effective salesmanship tends to change the prices of the consumers, leads to demand for the product. For example, cosmetics, toothbrush, etc. Once again, the first one was price, second is income, third is price of substitute, fourth is price of complementary, fifth is nature of product, sixth is size of population, seventh is expectation about future prices, eighth is advertisement. The ninth one is taste, habit and fashion. If taste, habit and fashion changes, automatically demand will change. Example, if the fashion is changing from dhoti kurta towards jeans top, people will shift from dhoti kurta to jeans top. They will demand more jeans than dhotis. So, as taste, habit and fashion changes, demand for that particular commodity will also change. Then, level of taxation. The level of taxation means, friends, if the taxes are increased, if the tax rates are increased by the government, that disposable income will become less, will reduce. So quantity demand will also reduce because their purchasing power will reduce. For example, a person who is earning 4 lakhs rupees per annum and he has to pay 10% of tax. That is 10% would be what? 40,000. That is 4 lakh minus 40,000. He will be having, this is for the 40,000 is the tax and his income is 4 lakhs. So he would be left out with 3 lakh 60,000. So 3 lakh 60,000 is disposable income for that person. From this income he can demand any commodity. So as taxes are rising, that disposable income is reducing and they will demand less of that quantity. So level of taxes also plays a very important role for affecting or determinants of demand. Then availability of credit. If the credits are available at the cheap rate, then people will demand more. For example, if 0% interest on EMI is charged, people will buy those commodities and they will demand. So the automatically availability, if the credit is available at the cheap or cheap rate of interest, automatically the quantity demand would be more. But if the credit is available at the high rate of interest, so its demand will reduce. Then pattern of saving. The pattern of saving. If the person is wishing to save the money for his future or for his future plans, so automatically its disposable income, not disposable income, its purchasing power will reduce because he is interested in saving the money for the future, for his old age. So his purchasing power will reduce. So it will automatically affect demand. We have discussed taste, habit and fashion, level of taxes, availability of credit, pattern of saving. between the 10 to 15 seconds. Then we'll continue with the remaining determinants of demand. Taste, habit and fashion of a consumer influence the demand for a commodity. If the consumer likes to eat chocolate or consume tea, they will demand more of them. Similarly, when a new fashion hits the market, the consumer demand that particular type of commodity. If commodity goes out of fashion, then suddenly the demand for the product tends to fall. Level of taxation. High rate of tax on the goods or service would increase the demand, would increase the price of the goods and service. Then in turn would result in a decrease in demand for the goods or service and vice versa. Availability of credit. One of the most considerable determinants of demand is credit availability. The purchasing power of consumer is highly affected by the credit availability. If there is availability of the cheap credit, the consumer tries to buy more product. Pattern of saving. Saving pattern also influence the demand. In the case when the consumer want to save more money, then the demand will become less for the product and vice versa. Let's see the last ones. Those are circulation of money. If we are going to study in the chapter capital market, money market, how the government circulates the money, what are the things and how it is affecting the economy. The circulation of money, if the circulation of money is more in the economy, then the quantity demand would be more. If the circulation of money is less in the economy, the quantity demand would be less. Then there are other factors. Now other factors can be climatic condition, changes in technology, government policy and customs and tradition. For example, I am not writing over here. For example, in climatic condition, due to the bad weather or due to the earthquake or tsunami or the natural calamities, it will affect the demand. They will demand for more of necessity goods like medicine, food grains, groceries. Same way, changes in technology, if upgrade technology is coming, so automatically demand would be for that upgraded technology because the investment, because it will save in other ways. Then government policy, if the government policies is changing, automatically commodity demand will change. And the last one is custom and traditions. If there is custom and tradition like Diwali, Holi, they will demand according to that custom and tradition. So this were the determinants of demand that we have discussed. Now we will discuss the law of demand. Again, some time to understand. Then definitely we are next topic and very important topic, the second law that we are discussing on the chapter 3. The first law was discussed in chapter 2, that was the law of diminishing marginal utility. This would be our second law which we are learning under chapter demand analysis, is law of demand, friends. So we will discuss about the law of demand. A very important law to understand, but some time for determinants, then we'll start with the law of demand. Kids, the law of demand. The law of demand, as you have heard the person, the economist named Alfred Marshall. So, the same way, the Alfred Marshall was the person who has propounded the law of DMU. He has again reformed and stated law of DMU. He is the same person who has also explained the law of demand. So, the law of demand was introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall. The law of demand was introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall in his books of Principle of Economics. In year 1890. So understand this law was introduced by whom? Professor Alfred Marshall. In which book? In his own book, Principle of Economics, in year 1890. Now kids, this statement you must have heard in the chapter law, in the chapter 2, utility analysis, in the law of demand, law of diminishing marginal utility. In law of diminishing marginal utility, let me recall you all, in law of diminishing marginal utility was propounded by Professor Gossin, therefore it is said to be the Gossin's first law, but it was re-explained by Alfred Marshall in the books of Principle of Economics in year 1890. The same statement is mentioned in the law of demand. It is introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall in his books of Principle of Economics in year 1890. What he has stated. Let's see that. According Marshall. Other things being equal. What he is saying? Other things being equal, the higher the price of commodity, lesser the quantity, smaller is quantity demanded, higher the price of commodity, smaller is quantity demanded, and lower the price of commodity, lower the price of commodity, larger the quantity demanded. Larger the quantity demanded. Once again, this law was introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall in his books of Principle of Economics in year 1890. According to the Alfred Marshall, other things being equal. What are the other things being equal? We will discuss in the assumption. Higher the price of commodity, smaller is quantity demanded. Means when the prices are high, in simple words I can state that when prices are high, quantity demand is less. Then what is saying? And lower the price of commodity means and when prices is less, quantity demand is more. Once again, the other thing being equal, higher the price of commodity, the smaller is quantity demanded, and lower the price of commodity, larger is quantity demanded. That means price and quantity demand has an inverse relationship. When one is rising, the other is decreasing. When other is rising, the one is decreasing. So what he has discussed, he has only said in his law about price and quantity demand. He has only explained in the law is price and quantity demand. What is saying? When price is rising, quantity demand is less. When price is decreasing, quantity demand is rising, increasing. So it has an inverse relationship. But the other thing being equal, what are those other things being equal? We will discuss. Once again, other thing being equal, higher the price of commodity, smaller is quantity demanded, and lower the price of commodity, the larger is quantity demanded. I have already told you, whenever we are writing the law, the person who have wrote the law, it should be according to him. No word should change from here to there. But in simple words, when we are explaining, we can say in simple words, the Alfred Marshall has stated that when prices are other thing being equal, when the prices are increasing, the quantity demand is reducing. When the prices are reducing, quantity demand is increasing. That means it has an inverse relationship and vice versa is happening. So this was a law that we were discussing. Symbolically, we can express this law as it shows symbolically, it shows the relationship between price and quantity demand. So demand for X commodity is equals to the functional relationship between price of X commodity. What we can say? Demand. D stand for demand, X stand for the commodity. F is the functional, P is the price, X is the commodity. So demand for a X commodity equals to the price, equals to the functional function of the price of X commodity. So this was the law. When we are explaining the law, we can make a schedule. With the help of schedule, we will plot two columns. In one there would be price, other quantity demand. Suppose when price was 50, 40, 30, 20 and 10. When price was more, demand was less. When price started reducing, demand started increasing. For example, when the prices of chocolate was 50 rupees, kids used to demand only one quantity of chocolate. But as prices started reducing from 50 to 40, kids used to buy, instead of one, they used to demand two. As same way, when prices reduce from 40 to 20, quantity demand for chocolate also increases from 2 to 4 quantity. Same way, when prices decrease more to 10, demand increases to 5. That means we can say that it has an inverse relationship between price and quantity demand. When price is increasing, demand is decreasing. When price is decreasing, demand is increasing. So it has an inverse relationship. Let me tell you the way of writing the law is, first you have to write the heading, then you have to give an introduction, then statement of the law in simple words, schedule, explanation of schedule, graph, explanation of graph. If we plot this on graph, on x-axis, on always would be quantity demand, on y-axis it would be price. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quantity demand, price 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. When price was 50, demand, quantity demand was 1. When price was 40, quantity demand was 2. When price was 30, quantity demand was 3. Then 4 and 5. That means DD is the demand curve sloping downward from left to right. How is this slope? You have to, after explaining the schedule, you have to say on x-axis there would be a quantity demand, on y-axis it would be price. When we plot the above schedule points, we will see a downward slope from left to right, because price and quantity demand has an inverse relationship. So it's a downward slope from left to right. DD is the demand curve. Why it is a downward? Because when prices are rising, quantity demand is reducing. When prices is decreasing, quantity demand is increasing. I'll give you some time to understand the law with the schedule and graph. I have here only drawn the schedule as well as graph, but you have to explain also. Whatever I have given in the explanation, that you have to write it down in your register. Some time to understand, then we will start with its assumptions of the law of demand. The law of demand was introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall in his books Principle of Economics, which was published in 1890. The law explained the functional relationship between price and quantity demand. According to the Alfred Marshall, other thing being equal, the additional benefit, other thing being equal, the higher price of commodity, smaller the quantity demanded, lower the price of commodity, larger is quantity demanded. In other words, other factor remaining constant. If the prices of commodity rises, demand for it falls, and when prices of commodity falls, demand for the commodity rises. Thus, there is inverse relationship between price and quantity demand. Symbolically, the functional relationship between demand and price is expressed as d of dx equals to the f of px. D stands for demand for the commodity, x stands for the commodity, f stands for the function, px stands for the price of the commodity. Then we have discussed about the schedule, demand schedule. In demand schedule, we have seen that there are two columns, one is the price, other one is the quantity demand. As prices of chocolates increases, quantity demand decreases. As prices of chocolate decreases, quantity demand increases. That means we have seen an inverse relationship between price and quantity demand. For example, when the prices of chocolate was 50, demand was 1. When prices of chocolate reduced from 50 to 30, demand increases from 1 to 3. Same way, when the price more reduced from 30 to 20, demand again increased from 3 to 4. And same way, when the price reduced more 10, demand increased 5. That means that from the above schedule, we can say that price and quantity demand has an inverse relationship. When we plot the schedule, when we plot the same schedule in graph, I will make the graph more neatly. It's a little bit hodgepodge. On x-axis, on y-axis, on x-axis it would be quantity demand, on y-axis it would be price. Price is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When price was 50, demand was 1. When price was 40, demand was 2, 3. Means it's a DD is the demand curve. It's a downward slope from left to right. It's a downward slope from left to right. On x-axis we have plot quantity demand, on y-axis it's a price. DD is the demand curve. When we plot the above schedule in the graph, it would be a downward slope because it has an inverse relationship between price and quantity. As price rises, demand decreases. As price decreases, demand increases. So this was the law of demand. I thought today I will explain you the assumption because determinants plays a very important role in assumption. But let's have a small revision first on the law of demand. Then we will see towards assumption or we will continue in the next session. The law of demand was introduced by Professor Alfred Marshall in his books of Principle of Economics. in year 1890, according to the Professor Alfred Marshall, other thing being equal, the higher the price of commodity, smaller is quantity demanded, and lower the price of commodity, larger is quantity demanded. That means, in simple words, we can say, kids, that price and quantity demand has an inverse relationship. Means, in simple words, we can state that other thing being constant, other thing remaining constant, higher the price of commodity, more is quantity demanded, lower the price of commodity, the larger is quantity demanded. It has an inverse relationship. When we state that in symbolically, it's in symbolically way, demand shows the functional relationship of price, that is dx, that is demand for x commodity equals to the function of the price of x commodity. Then for this, it is supported with the schedule and curve. Schedule states that as prices reduce, quantity demand increase. As prices decrease, quantity demand increase. With an example, you have to explain. I have taken the example of chocolates. You can take the example of any commodity which you like. Then the above schedule is plotted on the graph. In the graph, when we see that on y-axis it would be price, on x-axis it would be quantity demand. When we plot the schedule in the graph, we can see a downward slope from left to right, because it has an inverse relationship. For example, when price increases from 10 to 50, quantity demand decreases from 5 to 1. There was a small agenda for determinants of demand. It would, though you know the determinants of demand, though we have discussed in the previous lecture, we have done the revision in today's lecture. I am telling you again, this determinants will play a very important role in assumption as well as in the future coming topics. So understand the determinants of demand, read it. Today we will end our session here only. We will not continue with the assumption. It would be too much. It would be too much for you all for in one day. So we will do the assumption tomorrow in the next lecture. But for understanding assumption, determinants is very important. So read and understand.